Look up from your telescope, take me on this journey home. I don't wanna wait no more.
What's good, y'all? It's your guest, sis Erica Vane, back again with another amazing All American video. And in this video, I am breaking down season 1, episode 12. Let's get into it. All right, y'all. This episode opens up with Layla and Spencer are studying and kicking it and having their little cute Spayla moments. We get a quick catch up to the fact that Layla can't really focus and study because Asher's living there. And then we get the peeks to little angry man Spencer and his jealousy when he asks, how long Asher gonna be there? And Layla responds, like, he just got there, calm down. Like, come on. She don't say calm down, but she should have said calm down. Because we can see that this is definitely an issue. And then again, they just lean into their Spayla cuteness before Dylan and Grace returns, and it could really get hot and heavy because Spencer got some things on his mind. Over in Beverly Hills, the Baker's residence, in one of the most iconic scenes that I will never forget, Olivia sashays down the steps with her little cute curly hair and this little pouty lip, and she walks into the kitchen to see everyone living, doing their lives, and they don't register what today is, what the importance of today is. And at first glance, y'all, we don't know. Like, if you would watch this episode as the first time, then you wouldn't know either at this point what today is. However, somebody who do know, or at least have an inkling that something is going on, is Spencer, because when she turns to retreat back to her room because she sees her mom is completely busy and Jordan and Billy are sitting over there talking football and completely like not checked into her actually even entering the room, she walks past Spencer and Spencer stops and says, wait, everything all right? Anything going on? And she kind of brushes it off and keeps walking, but you can definitely see a moment where this lands on Spencer. Also over in Crenshaw, Coop coming into Sean's apartment, which is now her new apartment, and spotting Tyrone sitting on the couch like he lit there. Sir, what are you doing here? What she says, and he ain't got no answer to. In the conversation with Coop and Tyrone at her new place, or Sean's old place, we get to see that Coop is getting evicted, and not because she don't have no money, because clearly she's gangbanging with Tyrone, she's doing her job, she's making a little bit of ends, but she's still in high school. Sis is too young. She cannot have an apartment on her own. So she says, like, yo, I'm short on years. That's why they're kicking me out. I need to be emancipated. And Tyrone, his selfish behind, like, don't you go ahead and get emancipated, because then if you go to jail, you're going to have to stay there. You can't get out on your own recon, and your parents can't help you because you are looked at in the law as an adult. Go ahead and move back in with your parents and figure it out. Now, she should move back in with her parents and figure it out, but not because you needed to, sir. God dang it. In this episode, we really jump back and forth between Beverly Hills and Crenshaw quite a bit, and then we also jump back and forth between the present day and the past because we're going through the day of Olivia's overdose. We see her wake up, take a pill, but she's already out of it, and a few moments of her dancing before we snap back to reality because she just found these same pills in her closet. So now we start to put two and two together of like, okay, this is what's going on and why today is important. At school, Spencer's getting more attention now that Catch is circling the web and he's gone viral, and we get the note to like really help set up the whole jealousy arc of Spencer in this episode because he's getting this extra attention from girls, and Jordan makes a comment like, Layla better be worried or Layla better watch out, and he like, Layla ain't got nothing to worry about. And it's like, okay, cool, sir, so keep that same energy because you don't have nothing to worry about. She is just as into you as you are into her, and you want to run around here and act the fool because when you see Layla and Asher coming together, oh, y'all rode to school together? Oh, how long he gonna be at your house? Oh, really? It's like sucking his teeth and sighing all around. It's like, Spencer, get it together. Get it together, sir. You shaking like a stripper. Tighten up. Now, one thing I am surprised about, I'm surprised that Layla didn't say anything to Spencer earlier on in the episode because she peeped. She peeped his little smart comment. She peeped him asking these questions. She peeped that he was uncomfortable, and she just kind of let it ride. She like, look, we rode in together. My car needed work, so we just rode in together. No big deal. And she should have kept going like, you tripping. And when he was like, oh, how long is he staying? Like, he just got there. You tripping. Like, I wanted her to be like, boy, get it together, but she kind of saves it. And they both notice that Olivia is missing class. When we catch back up with Olivia, she is actually meeting with her sponsor, and this is the first episode that we get to see her sponsor. She talks about how hard today is, and then her family, and her sponsor actually gives her really kind words, really good words, but I kind of wish that she was around a little bit more. It kind of feels like now that I'm going back and rewatching this, y'all, like we knew that Olivia struggled with addiction. We knew that she overdosed at the start of the season because she tells us. But up until now, we don't really get to see enough of her actually struggling. So then when we get to this episode, which it makes sense because this is an important day, but once we get to this episode, it kind of feels like, yo, like this kind of came out of nowhere, even though I know it didn't. Like, right? Like the point of the matter is that addiction is a daily struggle. It's something that is managed and lived through every single day. And I guess that's also the point of how they showed it and how they decided to time it with this episode, because one of the things that they're actually also talking about with it is the Baker household kind of went back to normal and didn't think twice of it, didn't really support Olivia the way that they should, weren't going to meetings, weren't making sure she was going to meetings, weren't doing all the things to really just set her up for success with her sobriety. So, you know, when thinking about it like that, okay, it does make sense for this to pop up at episode 12 right now, but I kind of wish we would have just seen little glimpses. Even if the Bakers were still missing it this whole time, I really wish that us as the audience would have seen little glimpses. Okay, so after we get the moment of her with her sponsor, we get a flashback to her at school. This is following the moment of her taking a pill earlier, so she's still in the same, you know, outfit with a little jacket added on top, and we get to see her and Layla interact, so we get to see that they're actually friends. You get to see a little bit about Layla and Asher's relationship because Olivia kind of pulls her away, like, come on, I want my best friend, let's go frolic and be cute together. And then we're pulled out of that flashback because Spencer's standing outside Olivia's car because she's parked outside of school, staring, looking crazy, and Spencer's like, what is going on? What's happening? Why weren't you in class? And she tells him, like, I found a pill, but everything's okay. And Spencer's like, okay, so what do we do? What do I gotta do? What do you need help with? How can I do something? And we love to see it because, again, Spencer is one of the only people who is actually seeing Olivia, really registering her vibe and her energy and checking on this girl. Like, come on, Bakers, I need y'all to get this together. And Jordan, you will forever be dragged by me for season 1 because your twin telepathy is trash, sir. T-rash, capital T. This girl was going through all this, and Spencer, the new Beverly Hills transplant, is the only one to notice. But you know, I don't even need to say it because at some point in this episode, Olivia says it. Now, she definitely deflects in classic Olivia behavior in the car when he's trying to check on her. She's like, oh, you can help me by distracting me. Like, I don't want to think about it. And gets Spencer to start talking about him. And he talks about how uncomfortable he is with Asher living with Layla and how he feels away and he don't want it to end before it really gets started. And you can really see how invested he is. And I thought this moment was cute. Like, this was definitely a moment of solidifying Spencer and Olivia's friendship and comfort with one another because they're able to be at their most vulnerable with each other in this moment. At this time, I don't even think that Coop and Spencer have had a conversation about his feelings with Layla and his jealousy. And then we're pulled right back into another flashback, but this time we're in a flashback at Crenshaw where we get to see Spencer fighting over his then girlfriend, Kia. And angry man Spencer was on full display, child. I don't know if I could even blame Kia, but I don't even know what to say. Spencer was a little angry man. Watching that flashback scene still breaks my heart. And then from there, we're pulled back to reality where Spencer is at Layla's house and they're actually starting to address the elephant in the room about Spencer being uncomfortable. And then he comes up with this bright idea, like, let's do a date night. That'll help us reset and recharge. And it's like, yeah, date night is cute and all too, but like, let's just go ahead and be open and honest about our feelings because that would be more helpful. And then enter Asher to go ahead and reaffirm the tension. At the Baker's household, Olivia is, after speaking to her sponsor, talking to Spencer in the car, she's back home and she's trying to talk to her parents, but she can't talk to Billy and Laura because they are preoccupied with what they got going on. I mean, she could put her foot down, but that's not Olivia, and I understand it. They're definitely moving, swirling, got their lives going on, and they are not picking up. Their antennas is broke because they are not picking up on the whole, you know, I need help aura that she's kicking off. Back in Crenshaw, we meet Coop's daddy for the first time, and he's like, yo, come home. I was out. He's a trucker, so he's been traveling. When all this stuff with Coop went down, I guess he wasn't around or he was on the road working or whatever, and he said that he talked to the mama and now Coop can come home because this is some BS. And it's like, yes sir, it is. I feel like Coop's mama's name is Jeanette, but if it's not, I'm gonna call her Jeanette for right now. Jeanette, get your together because that is your child, honey. That is your child. And actually, I love the pacing of this episode because we literally go back and forth throughout the day between Crenshaw and Beverly Hills. And after the scene with Coop and her daddy, we get to see Layla and Olivia speaking at the hangout in Beverly Hills where she pulls out the pills. And this is one moment where I feel like their friendship is real, y'all. They really do care and love for each other. I know these girls have a lot of toxic moments between each other. They have a lot of iffy moments, but this was definitely a real one. And I love how Layla showed up for Olivia in this moment. It showed their real true friendship. And unfortunately, Spencer, who has not dealt with all of his demons around jealousy and possession and just insecurity within his relationship, allows for Layla canceling on the date night to send him on a tailspin into thinking that she's with Asher when in all actuality she is with Olivia because she wants to stay with her and be able to support her through the rest of this day. God damn it, Spencer. Spencer's anger and abandonment issues run rampant in all of the decisions that he makes. We get to see this flashback moment with Grace and Spencer arguing about him getting suspended because of the fight. He brings up his father and he feeling like he just has to fight. His whole life is a fight. Every day is a fight, all because his father left him. And his feelings are definitely very, very valid. What's really, really important, I think, about this conversation that's happening in the flashback is that this is the moment that Grace decides to call Billy because Spencer leaves out the house after telling her, you can't fix this. Bro, when I tell you dagger to the stomach, I know Grace felt like shh. And the fact that she picked up the phone to call Billy was probably the last person that she wanted to call. Like, just, I could only imagine what she was going through, but she made that call because Grace is a parent who's not going to stop fighting for her kid. And she saw Spencer going down a very dangerous road, a very troubled road. She mentions the year before last he was skipping class. This year he's fighting every day. She don't know what to do, but she wants to save her son. So she makes the call. And we know now that, ultimately she helped coordinate Spencer getting pulled out of Crenshaw and going to Beverly Hills. And this is the moment where we actually get to see like how that idea came to be. Now back over in Beverly Hills, Spencer pops up because I do think that he also wants to help and support Olivia. But once he gets to the damn hangout, Olivia's nowhere to be found. And Layla is talking with Asher. Oh, fix it, Jesus. Angry Man Spencer in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This fool said funny how this don't look like Olivia. His jaws all clenched. He coming at Layla sideways, all aggressive. And I'm just like, boy, you finna lose your woman. You about to lose your woman. I cannot. Dang it, Spencer. He literally puts his foot in his mouth and makes an ass of himself in this moment. And while it was cringy to watch, it was definitely good TV. Another flashback that we get is the conversation between Billy and Grace. And she reminds him that we owe Spencer this. And that starts to plant other seeds. Because what? Not only did she call him for help, but we owe him this. Why do we owe him this, sis? Huh? Grace, speak up. I can't hear you. Speak up. Child, this episode was loaded with so many Easter eggs and nuggets and character development reveals. From that flashback, we actually go over to Beverly Hills and see a flashback also of Olivia partying at the baker's house. They have this really crazy party going on. There's drugs and alcohol everywhere. She seems like the life of the party while Asher's sitting over in the corner. And then the moment that Jordan arrives, everybody kind of like flocks to him and there's no longer attention on Olivia, so she kind of stumbles over to the bar and starts talking with Asher. In this moment that I'm like, yo, this is when it happens and the drug induced hookup happens. This is it. We actually get to see the moments leading up to it, how it actually happens. They both are feeling pity for themselves, being very self-deprecating, and in this moment they start to like comfort each other with each other. We hate to see it. And then from that moment, we're pulled back into a family meeting emergency that Olivia called with the Bakers. Finally, get your asses in here. We gotta talk. She breaks down the fact that the only person who noticed anything or said anything to her or has been checking on her is Spencer. Everybody has gone back to status quo and is not supporting her. They think that rehab was just a quick fix and it wasn't. And I love that she was able to just take command and really express what she needed and what she saw. And in the moment, she also outs some things with Jordan. But sometimes there's casualties in war. And Jordan, you just had to take this hit so that Olivia can get all this stuff off her chest. I'm glad you did it, sis. I'm proud of you. One of my least favorite moments of the entire episode was the scenes with Spencer, Coop, and her parents and her cringy mama sticking to her homophobia and disrespect. I'm just like, do I gotta watch this? The best part about it was watching Spencer and Coop actually interact, and you get to see how really close they are and how much they love each other. And Coop is able to sew into Spencer like, yo, you be pushing people away. You've been doing it all your life and you just need to stop. You let people love you, let people show up for you and trust them. Trust that they love you and that they're here for you. And we also get a similar moment with Jordan checking in on Olivia after she says all that she needs to say. And I'm like, finally, is this going to reconnect y'all dang on twin telelink, because it's broken and we need to call Spectrum or somebody to come in here and fix it. Now, at Coop's little luncheon with her parents, Spencer is the one who actually sticks up for her because her mom still gets disrespectful, and Spencer like, this is your daughter and you're hurting her. And this gives Coop the, I guess, like ammunition, but also confidence to also speak up for herself as well. Now, it comes out that Tyrone has something to do with it. He paid them a visit. Oh, child. I just hate it. I hated watching it. It was so hard to watch. You just literally watch Coop's heart break. In an unexpected turn of events, though, in this episode, Asher goes to Spencer to talk to him about insecurities and about pushing Layla away. And I'm like, okay, Asher, you better be on your dang on redemption journey, sir. Do your public service and fix this, because you was out here setting landmines and shooting fire throwers all over the place. So about time you start extinguishing some of these dang on fires. And that, in addition to Spencer reliving what happened with Kia and getting additional advice from Coop, helped Spencer to put a lot of things into perspective, even being confronted by Layla in the moment that he was. So he goes and he apologized to her, and they have a very open and honest conversation in a very cinematic scene looking over the dang on city. And I'm just like, yes, we love to see it. Coop actually gets what she wants because her daddy signs the emancipation papers, but he still lets her know that he is there for her by the end of the episode. So I guess we'll take it, as long as y'all still gonna be supporting, not wash your hands of her. And we end the episode getting to actually see Olivia's overdose moment, getting to see the Bakers finding her this way, trying to revive her in the moment, which was one of the most heartbreaking things that I've ever seen in the All-American series. Like, I always struggle with watching her in this state because they did it so authentic and it was beautifully tragic. But we end the episode on a very positive note because all of the Bakers show up for Olivia in her NA meeting, and she's getting her 1-year sobriety chip, and we are left to believe that, like, okay, they're going to turn over a new leaf. They're going to show up for this girl. She's on a great path, on a wonderful track. We love to see it. But then before we end, we get a conversation between Laura and Billy, and they're talking about Jordan. He admits what he did in reference to switching out Jordan's pee for the drug test, and Laura's wondering, like, dang, does Jordan have an addictive personality too? Like, should we be worried about him? And we kind of left on an okay note, but Jordan is overhearing this, and that gets the wheels a turning, and we kind of get the cliffhanger there. All right, y'all, so a lot happened in this episode. It's so much to process. It's one of my favorite episodes to go back and rewatch, though, because we learned so much about a lot of the characters that just are so pivotal to the show. We learned so much about Spencer. We learned so much about Olivia. We even learned a lot about Layla by way of how she interacts with Spencer and Olivia in this episode. And I thought that it was just really, really well done. That is my full breakdown, though, for episode 12 from season 1. If you're new here, I'm Erica Vane, and I'm breaking down All American every single day. Right now, we are in season 1, so every day during the week, I'm posting a new episode breakdown. You should really join the tribe by hitting subscribe. If you haven't already, I have All American curated merch, and you should really check that out. We have some amazing designs, some new things coming very, very soon. So go over to ericavane.com/shop and check out our new arrivals as well as our previous original merch. Show your All American love with some amazing custom All American merch. Be sure to like this video because you made it all the way to the end, so I know that you liked it. And if you missed any of my season 1 breakdowns, I have my playlist link for you on screen. You can check it out, or you can watch my All About All American playlist linked on screen as well. It's your girl Erica Vane, and I'm going to see you in my next video. Bye.